Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Salem at Work, the Salem show for discussing all things workforce development in Salem and the surrounding areas. One of the efforts that's being made locally here to bring about a better workforce for our future generations is an event put on by the Salem Area Chamber of Commerce called Career Connections. It's done down at the Convention Center, and annually they invite juniors and seniors to come down and take part in an event where they get to do mock interviews and go through a job fair and get introduced to a number of different businesses and be exposed to different career paths that they could potentially take. And one of the results of that event is that sometimes great things happen and people get hired and grow as an employee. And so today, as my guest, I have with me Michelle Mendoza from U.S. Bank, a personal banker, yes, as well as Victoria Shinn, who has a very long title that I won't try to repeat.
Exactly.
Thanks for being on the show, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun. I'm 100% sure of it. So, Michelle, tell me a little bit about your story, some of the background of where your life was at prior to coming into Career Connections.
So prior to coming into Career Connections, I was actually a senior. I was about to graduate in about 2 weeks or so. So I was definitely confused with life. I didn't know what I was going to do, where I was going to go. But my class, we had to go to this Career Connections in order to pass our class. And I didn't really know why we needed to go. But once we showed up, I was a little confused at how many people were there, because there were literally like almost 1,000 people there, students at least. And it was definitely a nerve-wracking experience. There were so many people, so many businesses, and we all had to take part of doing a mock interview. And I've never been interviewed before, never have done anything like that. So I was just very confused, but I was glad that I did it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Now, you walked in when it finally came your turn, because the lines are really long.
Yes.
You finally came in, and there's, what, over 150 businesses just waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
It was scary because we were all at the door, like smushed together, and then it was just whoever, it was the businesses. They had like a little pallet that went up whenever they were ready to interview someone else. And then next person that put their pallet up, I'm like, I'm gonna go now. So I did, and it ended up being the branch manager at U.S. Bank, and his name's Greg, and he was my very first interview ever. So
Awesome.
it was very scary, very scary going into this place where there are so many businesses and like branch managers, assistant managers, and you've never done an interview before. It was scary. It was scary, but it was a good experience too, because you had a feel of what an interview could possibly be like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, so did you interview with more than just Greg, or
I had
just with him?
one more interview after that, but it took like half an hour for me to do that next interview. And it was actually with another bank. I can't remember what bank it was, but I believe she was an assistant manager, and it was an okay interview. I definitely was more nervous because it was more pressure. I felt like she was definitely more like specifically looking for someone, and I felt like I wasn't meeting her needs. So then I felt like, oh my gosh, I did terrible now. But the first interview with Greg, it went very well. We got along. We talked more about what I wanted to do, where I felt like my life was going to go, and I felt like he saw this motivation in me, and that's probably what made him want to speak to me a little bit more after this interview.
So after the interview, he gave you a call.
We actually got our papers back, so everyone had to fill out a paper of who they were talking to, what school they went to, who their teachers were, and they filled out how they felt the interview went, if we dressed appropriately, how we spoke, things like that. And then they were able to write little comments like if we did well, what we could work on. And he actually ended up writing that he would like to possibly talk to me about part-time, or even just if I ever had any financial questions, to email him or call him. And I thought that was the most amazing thing. But yeah,
A
it
little
was,
bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah, I thought someone saw something in me that probably I never saw in myself. So it was a good experience right there.
That's, well, okay, we can end the show now. That was wonderful.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for sharing. So Victoria, tell me a little bit about that in-between spot where Greg had come to you. Tell me all about that situation.
Certainly, excuse me, certainly. So Greg had come to me and said, I've got this great individual that I want to hire for a part-time teller position that I have open. And the problem is she doesn't fit our normal criteria, which is 6 months of cash handling and customer experience. I said, okay, well, tell me why. Where did you meet her? And he told me, and I said, okay, well, let's talk a little further. What did you see in her? And he saw exactly what Michelle mentioned. It's just this enthusiasm and passion and how she cared about her family, and her attitude was just exactly what we look for, which is positive, forward-looking. And I said, okay, so we've got 2 obstacles to overcome as far as the box that we create, as far as what we're looking for to hire, which is cash handling and customer experience. Call her up and ask her, was there anything in school, anything outside curricular activities that she might have partaken in, maybe the school store, she had cash handling, customer experience. What activities could we then correlate to fit in those boxes? He called her, she gave him some information, called me back, and I said, bingo, let's do it. We're gonna try it and let's see what happens. And it has just been amazing and such a great experience on my end to have been able to really give Michelle an opportunity. We participate in these mock interviews, gosh, I think I've done them for 15 years or however long they've been doing them, and it's amazing because you see these kids come in, all different walks of life, all different backgrounds and experience levels, and to be able to give them an opportunity right off the bat, we don't normally have that opportunity. It's pretty neat.
So it was really, when you think back to it, it's kind of a high risk for the bank to take that on. Somebody with little to no experience, yet you guys took the chance on that. What really prompted you guys to take the chance on somebody that didn't have what you normally look for?
Greg's persistence. He contacted me consistently and said, Victoria, this is who I want. I've interviewed some additional people. They just don't have the right demeanor and attitude that we're looking for. I can teach the cash handling. I can teach the other components, the technical pieces. Can we try it? So I called HR and said, here's what we have. I'd like to take a chance. Let's just try it. I don't know if we've done it in the past. Let's give it a shot. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? It doesn't work. So we got the approval, and here Michelle is.
And it's been a raving success for both of you.
Yes.
So one more question back to you, Victoria. What has been U.S. Bank's commitment thus far in developing young adults? Or was this kind of an adventure that they were willing to start taking on at a beginner level?
Sure. U.S. Bank's always been very proactive in trying to develop the employees. Once we actually hire them, what is their career path? What are their attributes? What do they love doing? And then giving them those opportunities to train, to maybe shadow, mentor, find a mentor within the company, open up some doors, make sure that they know what's available to them, and then we try to give them the feedback of, these are the great things we see with you. Here's some areas that you can work on, and then provide them the training. So really, with Michelle, the only thing that she didn't have, as we mentioned, was that cash handling, the customer experience. But as you can see, she has the personality to work with people. That's number one, the smile and the attitude. All the technical pieces most often can be trained. And so once we get them in the door, the idea is let's identify and continue to cross-train, make sure that they know what all the vast opportunities are within the company and what they can utilize with their skill level and how we can develop their skills.
Yeah. So you've continued to invest back into Michelle. So Michelle, you've been able to gain a lot of skills. I
Yes.
understand you've been promoted
Yes. Probably technically 3 times.
3 times. How long have you been there?
2 years.
3 times in 2 years.
Yeah,
You guys
3
found a
times.
gym.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. No, you can't have her.
You hear that, America?
Yes, 3 times in the last 2 years. But the position I have now is definitely a bigger step, more responsibility. But I really like the experience that I'm getting from it. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
So JD, if I could interject something there. I remember when Greg and the assistant manager, Nicole at the time, had called me. You'd only been there, I think, maybe 6 months. They got you through the training on the teller side. And they said, we want her to be a banker. Well, we didn't have a spot open. And I said, well, okay, well, maybe we should at least get her through a 12-month period in her current role so that she's comfortable and confident there, and then take a look at transitioning over. And I'll tell you, Greg had insight with Michelle that was just right on, and it's just worked out so nicely to be able to continue that. And she's been able to share so much with other new people that come in, that have come in and been hired behind her.
So it's not only panned out well for you, Michelle, but you guys have gained kind of a trainer and a lot of different things out of looking for that those soft skill things that you saw in her, that Greg saw in her and wouldn't let go of.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Yes.
thing. Way to go, U.S. Bank.
That's right.
Thank you.
So Michelle, tell me about how your life has changed in the last 2 years since you walked in as a nervous 18-year-old
18-year-old, yeah, 18-year-old straight out of high school. I was so nervous at that time. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I'm like, okay, I'm just taking on this opportunity. But I have learned so much. I have learned all these different skills, so much to learn within the bank, and I am just so grateful for it because I feel like that this has prepared me for life. Just so many things that you do at the branch where you could do that anywhere else. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to have gotten started with that. It was the best opportunity I could have ever gotten. And it's just changed my life for the better, definitely.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
you've learned the technical skills. You've learned a lot about banking and how those things function. What about, I want to hear just a few things maybe of personal things that you've learned maybe about you that you've been able to improve and grow in.
I learned a lot about myself, that I'm capable of a lot more than what I thought I was capable of. With everyone giving me opportunities to grow, I didn't think that I would be able to do all of it, but I have been able to. And personally, at home, I feel like I'm, how should I say this, problem solving, things like that. It's helped me so much because I feel like, okay, now I know how to take a problem, an issue, and just, okay, what's the issue? How can I figure this out?
Excellent.
Yeah, it's
Well,
been great.
Victoria, 20 seconds. What advice do you give to businesses out there that are a little nervous about taking on a little bit of an inexperienced person?
I would say take the chance. Give them the opportunity because you will be the one that misses out if you don't. You not only gain a lot by doing that, but you've provided a young person that opportunity. Whether or not that particular job works out for them, if you really are there to help them along the way, it will provide some skill levels and encouragement, mentorship, and as Michelle mentioned, uncovering attributes they didn't even know they had. So if businesses don't take that chance, they're the ones that are going to lose out. And we need that strong workforce. Our young people need the wisdom and the guidance from those of us that are a little bit older and have gone through all of those challenges. It's exciting to help encourage and watch them grow and succeed. It's one of the most rewarding components of being an employer that you can possibly have.
There you have it. Well, thanks for joining us again. This has been a tremendous show. I appreciate you guys showing up today. We've learned a lot about one company's experience with an investment made by our local Chamber of Commerce. but there's a lot more to be done in the terms of workforce development. So be thinking again, like I always say, on what you want to contribute to this community in building up the future of our workforce, because they are our future. Other than that, remember, have fun. Thanks for